Hello, I'm Grace Browse with Wrestling with Grace, and welcome to our first Raw review. Okay, so the show started out last night with a review of McIntyre v. Lesnar, which I thought was perfect because it was your main event of night two, and it's what got everybody excited because there's a new WWE champion, new regime, you might say, and it was just the perfect way to recap the entire weekend. The first bout we saw was Liv Morgan and Asuka, which I was personally really excited for because I have been a fan of Liv Morgan ever since her NXT days as Marley. So I was hoping for a really good showing for her, which I thought it was. There was a move somewhere in the middle of the match where she did a drop kick off of either the top rope or the second rope, which I thought looked particularly nasty. But I liked the match personally because it was very competitive and back and forth, and I hope they find something to do with both of those ladies because Liv has been kind of just roaming around since Elimination Chamber, and I don't know if they're breaking up the Kabuki Warriors because Kairi was nowhere in sight last night. So after that, they reviewed Becky and Shayna. And I'll be honest with you guys, I did not care about this match from the start because I am not a Becky fan. And Shayna, I don't know. I think Shayna deserves a shot at the title, certainly, because she looks like a monster. But I just am not really that invested in her yet, but it looks like they're going to keep that feud going. So that's good for the both of them because I do think that feud is money for them at this point. Then we had a rematch for the Raw Tag Team titles between Theory and Garza with Zelina versus the Street Profits. And this match for me was interesting because I liked individual performers. I am not a huge fan of most tag team wrestling because I think that it breaks down way too often and it's really repetitive and predictable, which we'll get to that later. But I liked the fact that they called up Austin Theory because I've been following him since his days in Evolve, and I think that he has a really bright future. So they had the match, and it broke down to where it was 3-on-2 with Zelina getting in some shots against the Street Profits, which prompted Montez Ford's wife, Bianca Belair, to come out, and she said she goes here now, which I think is pretty cool because I've always liked Bianca Belair, and if they're going to move Charlotte to NXT, they need that strong presence on Raw, which I think Belair can fill. So then Zelina and Belair had a singles match, which excited me simply for the fact that we don't get to see Zelina in the ring very often, which I think she's an incredible performer if given the chance. But that also broke down, which prompted a 6-person mixed tag match. That didn't last long before they were fighting all the way to the back, and then Belair hit the KOD on Vega to win the match for the Street Profits and Belair, which was obviously a good sight to see. And then we had a recap of Black and Lashley from WrestleMania, which that was one of the matches that they had to throw together kind of at the last minute in order to get people on the card at WrestleMania because there wasn't any of the Battle Royal matches. And so I wasn't that invested in it, but I haven't been invested in the Lashley Lana storyline from the beginning. So I thought that it ended the way that it needed to, the match between Black and Lashley, because it gave Black momentum and set forth the storyline for Bobby and Lana's eventual breakup. So then we saw Black versus Apollo Crews. And up until that point, they had been saying that Aleister Black is going to be in action. And so my thought was that it's going to be another squash match like he's had for the last year. And I was not excited about that because you give him a WrestleMania match and then the next night he has a squash match. It just didn't make sense to me. And Tom Phillips said something that he's lost twice in the last 9 months. Well, why would it matter how much he's won if it's only against non-credible opponents? But then I hear Apollo's music and my heart immediately sinks because I know that Apollo is a glorified jobber. That's been his role for a little while now. And so I was not looking forward to it even more at that point. But then the match starts. And the further on it goes, the more invested I become because I really don't know who they're going to give the push to, who they're going to give the win to. And so I thought it was the match of the night, personally, because of the unpredictability factor and that. So I really liked that match because it was showing by two guys who usually have 2 to 5 minute matches and don't get to go as long as they got to go last night. So they got to show us things in their repertoire that they don't usually get to. So like I said, I thought it was the match of the night.